Tonight's episode of EastEnders finally reveals what Jasmine Fisher is really up to in Walford, and the truth is far from what most viewers expected. While Cindy Beale and Lauren Branning have spent days trying to figure out how Jasmine might be linked to them, it becomes clear she has been focusing on someone completely different, and her behavior hints at a far more intricate plan than anyone imagined. The episode opens with Jasmine lingering around the square, quietly observing Anthony Trueman from afar. Cindy notices her standing alone and immediately strolls over, making a pointed comment about not loitering on street corners. Jasmine dismisses it casually, insisting she's just waiting for Oscar. Cindy then approaches Anthony, hoping she can still squeeze in her appointment at the surgery. However, he explains, looking a little frazzled, that the building has been flooded, meaning all consultations have been cancelled. With an unexpected free day, he decides to head out for a drink with Patrick. Elsewhere, Jasmine finds Oscar at the fruit stall and begins probing him about Anthony. Her questions feel a little too focused to be innocent, though Oscar doesn't notice. Instead, he jumps to the idea that she fancies the doctor, teasing her while feeling a twinge of jealousy himself. Later, things shift when Jasmine and Oscar see Anthony and Patrick relaxing at the Albert. Anthony is cheerful and at ease, enjoying the rare downtime, while Jasmine chats to them as if everything is normal. Oscar steps outside, telling Jasmine he'll wait until she's done. This leaves her alone with Anthony just long enough for her to offer him a complimentary mocktail. Anthony, none the wiser, heads to the bar to place the order. The moment he turns away, Jasmine's expression hardens. Her eyes lock onto his jacket, and she quickly rifles through his pockets. What looked like friendly interaction transforms into something much more deliberate as she discreetly pockets the keys to the surgery. Oscar unexpectedly returns and spots her mid-search. Shocked, he asks what she's doing. Realizing she's been caught, Jasmine hastily invents a story about needing some space for just the two of them. Oscar is baffled, but not suspicious enough to challenge her, and before long, he's trailing after her out of the Albert. Jasmine leads him directly to the now deserted GP surgery, unlocking the door with Anthony's keys. Oscar looks uneasy, unsure why she's brought him there or what she intends to do. She diverts him with vague talk about wanting time alone, and Oscar is so pleased to have her attention that he ignores the oddness of the situation. Once Oscar leaves, still confused and uncertain, Jasmine slips back into the building alone, taking care to ensure no one sees her. Inside, she goes straight to Anthony's computer. But what exactly is she searching for? Now alone in the surgery, scrolling through the doctor's private files, the mystery is no longer how she gained access, but why she's so determined to uncover whatever information is hidden there. Viewers still don't know precisely what Jasmine hopes to find, or what her link to Anthony might be, but her facade is beginning to crack. Is she still trying to dig up secrets about Cindy? Whatever her goal, she's clearly prepared to mislead, manipulate, and even commit a crime to achieve it. EastEnders to revisit historic Zoe romance as sinister stalker plot escalates. Anthony Trueman steps in to help Zoe Slater next week in EastEnders, as her terrifying stalking ordeal shows no signs of easing. Still convinced that someone in Walford has it in for her, Zoe finds comfort in Anthony's support, and the two end up sharing a quiet drink together. Later on, Zoe decides to stop by Anthony's flat to thank him properly. But could this reunion spark old feelings between them? There's a long, complicated past between them, a source close to the square explains. And you can see from the way Anthony watches Zoe that his feelings never really faded. It makes perfect sense that he's the first one she turns to, but are they both thinking about taking things beyond friendship? Anthony's kindness comes at a time when Zoe's family tensions are reaching boiling point over her stalker. Earlier this week, Alfie snapped and ordered Zoe to move out, firmly believing she'd been sending the disturbing threats herself. But he was forced to backtrack when a chilling message was found in the barrel store, something Zoe had no chance of writing. Zoe's anxiety soared again after an earring appeared near the scene, possibly belonging to whoever is targeting her. She immediately pointed the finger at Vicki once more, But Kat and Alfie were left speechless when they discovered the jewellery actually belonged to Jean. Next week, Kat and Alfie begin receiving repeated nuisance calls, both on the Vic's landline and their own mobiles, leaving them stressed and completely exhausted. Zoe insists she's finally discovered who's responsible and shares her suspicions, but her family quickly dismisses her theory. Things escalate yet again when Zoe stumbles upon a Christmas card left for her inside the Vic, containing another alarming threat. Zoe is clearly terrified, the insider adds. She's desperate to uncover who's tormenting her, whether her family believes her or not. But could the person behind all this chaos be someone much closer than she thinks? Jean loses control and erupts as stalker ordeal takes twist in EastEnders. Walford ramps up the drama next week as the Slater family's fear over Zoe's stalker takes a sharp and unsettling twist, and Jean Slater unexpectedly becomes the focus of suspicion in a way that threatens to tear the family apart. Zoe is still rattled after a series of frightening events that have left her convinced she's being hunted. The tension spikes late one night when the Vic's alarm suddenly blares. Kat, Alfie and Zoe rush to the cellar, where they're horrified to find the back door wide open and the words, "You will pay," scrawled across it in paint. A short while later, Alfie discovers a lone earring lying on the cellar floor, splattered with the same paint. With nothing else to go on, the family begins to believe the jewellery must belong to the intruder. Already on edge, Zoe immediately points the finger at Vicki, but Vicki is quick to shut down the accusation. Kat and Alfie aren't convinced either, but with Zoe spiralling and no solid evidence, the earring becomes their only clue. Then everything turns upside down. Jean spots the earring in the Vic and casually mentions she's relieved to have found it because she'd been searching for it everywhere. Kat and Alfie freeze. The one person they never considered suddenly claims ownership of what they believe to be proof of the stalker. When Kat gently asks how Jean's earring could have ended up in the cellar on the night of the break-in, Jean immediately picks up on the implication, and she's livid. The suggestion that Kat thinks she might be tormenting Zoe hits her like a punch. Feeling humiliated and deeply hurt, Jean storms straight into the pub and unleashes her fury for everyone to hear. She passionately defends her innocence, insisting she would never target Zoe and that the accusation is outrageous. Her outburst silences the room. Zoe is stunned, not just by Jean's reaction, but by the realization that Kat and Alfie had known the earring belonged to Jean and didn't tell her earlier. From Zoe's point of view, everything suddenly feels uncomfortably convenient. Jean has never warmed to her, still blames her for Stacy leaving, and now that the earring is revealed to be Jean's, Zoe's doubts only deepen. Even as Kat and Alfie try to reassure her that Jean isn't the culprit, Zoe pushes back, claiming they've let Jean trick them. Kat and Alfie insist Jean simply wouldn't do something so cruel, but Zoe, feeling dismissed and terrified, becomes even more certain that Jean is hiding something. Meanwhile, things grow more unsettling when Kat and Alfie start receiving repeated silent phone calls on both their mobiles and the Vic's landline. Each one only reinforces Zoe's belief that Jean is behind the harassment. Kat and Alfie are adamant she's wrong, but with emotions running wild, no one is thinking clearly. After a blazing argument between Zoe and Jean, Zoe storms out of the Vic and heads straight to Anthony Trueman, the only person not entangled in the Slaters' conflict. He becomes the calm, steady support she desperately needs. Jean, meanwhile, is left shaken and deeply hurt. She can't believe Kat even entertained the idea she might be the stalker, and her resentment toward Zoe, already simmering, now feels sharper than ever. But, with the mysterious calls still coming, and Jean refusing to back down, the Slaters may have to face the possibility that they've been focusing on the wrong person all along, and the real stalker might be far closer than they think.